Green Lantern number 15, written by Jeff Johns, art by Doug Mahnke. This is a tie-in to Rise of the Third Army, and this is the first time that this particular book has felt like a tie-in, because we open up with a lantern named Gorish, who's like, hey, we've been getting reports from other lanterns that these things are everywhere. I'm going to go back to my home planet and make sure it's protected. And his partner's like, hey, well, maybe we should stick together. It's our job to control the entire sector. And he's like, yeah, I am, starting with my planet. And as he makes his way there, he sees that not only has the entire planet already been consumed by the Third Army, but they're swarming up into space, and he's about to be attacked by no less than several thousands of them. So back in Michigan, Simon Baz, he got an address of the person who owned the van that he stole way back in the day. And he arrives and he's like, I probably shouldn't go in guns blazing. So Green Lantern ring off. And so it makes him look just as he was before. He goes up, knocks on the door, and he's like, guy who inside, Mr. Whale, he's like, wait a minute, I know you. You blew up that bridge. I thought they locked you up. He's like, no, I'm innocent, but it was your van. I know that, and I just want to find out what happened to it between the time where it was stolen from you to the point where I got it. Maybe we can piece it together. And he's like, I didn't park it under that bridge where you found it. You should come inside. And as he's inviting Simon inside, we see he has a handgun behind his back. So we cut to the airport where Agent Fed is still after Simon, and he's with another guy who's like, hey, maybe you should get some sleep. Like, the Justice League is literally looking for Simon Baz. I think they'll find him. It's like, yeah, the Justice League already found him, and they lost him. Like, this is not something the Justice League is able to handle. So I've got agents trained on this family, and I've been trying to get into his mindset, and he keeps on claiming innocence, and if he were innocent, I think I know where he would go to prove his innocence. So we cut back to Mr. Whale's house, and Simon just starts unloading. He's like, okay, so this whole thing's been like a nightmare. I got in your van. The bomb was already in it. I'm just trying to figure out, these guys who did it, they could be planning something more, so we got to find them. And he looks over at the table and sees schematics for bombs and explosions and such. And at that point, he's like, oh, crap, okay. And Mr. Whale's already got the gun trained on him. He's just like, you ruined everything. We were going to blow that bridge up just as a train was going by, and it would have started the whole new revolution and everything, but you wasted that entire bomb on an empty factory. And Simon's like, but why? Why'd you do this? And he's like, the same reason I'm going to shoot you right now. They're going to call me a hero. And he fires a shot at Simon. Simon's ring just sparks, protects him with the suit, and gives him enough power to deflect the bullet. But he's at zero power. So the ring, that was all it was able to do, and now it's de-energized. And he's keeps on firing at Simon, because obviously he's got a full clip. So Simon ducks into the kitchen, tries to take some way of hiding. Meanwhile, we cut back to Hal and Sinestro, who are dead, quote unquote, but they're not dead. And they're being led by this hooded figure through this wasting away world. And the figure's like, all right, come on, let's go. And they're like, okay, do we know who this hooded figure guy is? And he's like, oh, I was your enemy, Sinestro, and I was your friend, Hal, but now we're in the dead zone. So yeah, you guys are dead. And that's literally all we get for this issue. So Simon's in the kitchen. The Mr. Whale has the gun trained on him. Meanwhile, Agent Fed shows up, says, drop the gun. You've done a good job here. You've stopped this terrorist guy. Now put down the gun and I'll take him in. And Whale's like, how do I know that you're actually an agent? Meanwhile, Simon's there like, dude, this guy's the one who actually did it. You need to be taking him in right now. And before any of that is able to be dealt with, we finally get the Third Army, who just destroys this guy's house, busting in through the walls. He unloads the rest of the clip on him. It does nothing. Meanwhile, Fed and Simon make their way down into this guy's basement because he's kind of you know, a doomsday prepper sort of thing. He's got some mental issues, so it's a very well fortified basement. Fed tells Simon, okay, you picked up his gun in order to protect yourself from them. Drop it again because you are a wanted terrorist. And he's like, are you kidding me? No, those things are genuinely terrifying. So they make their way deeper in the basement. And of course, this guy has like a full armory and a bunch more bombs and such like that. So he's like, all right, if we're going to escape from these things, we need to arm these bombs and then get out of here. So Fed starts arming the bombs, and he looks over to Simon like, so are you going to help me or what? And he's like, I don't know how to arm a bomb. And he's like, wow, okay, you really are innocent. Beep, beep, beep. So they arm the bombs. The Third Army breaks down the reinforced steel door, and they make their way out through the cellar door. And as the Third Army is creeping their way through, all the bombs go off, and there's just this massive explosion, takes out the whole house. It looks like they're almost caught in the crossfire, but they're protected by some green energy. And it turns out it's the squirrel Green Lantern. Green Lantern Bdig. B''DG. It's a talking squirrel, and he's here looking for Hal Jordan. And it's super important that he does so, because he needs to tell Hal Jordan that the Guardians have lost their damn minds. And then we get one last page of the Guardians who are like, okay, Third Army plan, going great. However, it's like a hive mind, and therefore each of them equally has a bit of our power. So we're stretched a little bit thin here. Gotta juice back up from the First Lantern over here. So they steal some more of the First Lantern's power, and he's like, I will get you for this, Guardians. I will get my revenge in the next arc. So, I mean, he doesn't say that, but he may as well. I thought this was very good. I thought it was a good job of saying, okay, we've wrapped up that little mini arc of Simon figuring out who is to actually blame. There is still a little bit of mystery there, as he keeps on saying we instead of I, so it is a larger organization who had this planned. We get some good... I feel like we get, at least from Agent Fed's perspective, vindication that Simon is innocent. So, I mean, it's a little bit dicey, but I think that it is there. And then, of course, the fact that the Third Army showed up. It's been going for like 3 issues now of this is a tie-in to that event, and this is the first one where we've actually seen them interacting with our main characters. So yeah, no, I'm all in on that. I'm wondering how long the whole Sinestro Hal thing is going to take to resolve. I imagine probably a little bit, but this was good. This was a very solid issue. So I'm going to give this one... I'll give it an 8. I genuinely did enjoy it. I think that it's a nice little solid bit. My only critique is that it ended, I feel like, on the wrong note. It ended with the Guardians, where I think it should have ended with the Talking Squirrel Lantern, just because that is such a better beat to end on.